What's up, guys? How y'all doing? It's Electro Jed here. Now, I know I haven't done one of these in quite a while, and I wanted to do this from episode one, but for reasons that I don't want to get into right now. I haven't been able to. We're going to be talking about The Last of Us, and especially episode five.
He's the man in the bandana, the man with the charm. He's a dude with the glasses and a lady on his arm.
I gotta admit that this particular episode kind of got to me. I mean, I've been enjoying the show so far immensely. I don't think they came out with a bad episode whatsoever. I mean, one of the best episodes was episode three, and a, a story that was written terrifically, and that's basically a standalone episode, which I enjoyed. I had some reservations about some things, but because the story was so well written, I was okay with all of it. But moving on to episode five, I must say this one was more personal, and I'll explain why a little later. But we get introduced to Sam and Henry, and we pick up where we left off last week, and it was I know the story from the game. The fact that they made the changes they made for the show in the way they wrote it, I was completely shocked on how well this was dealt with. The fact that they made Sam deaf and slightly younger, I think he was 8 years old here in this episode, that made him more dependent on his big brother. And his big brother, was doing everything he could to protect him. I know this feeling because that's the way I was with my little brother. Again, I'll get to it. I'll get to something situational later on. Why this particular episode means a lot to me. But after Sam and Henry run into Joel and Ellie in the building, I thought I thought it was extremely funny how how Joel's voice seemed a bit intimidating, and Ellie was like, "Dude, seriously, come on, man. He's no harm, but come, Joel, let them know." And then the way his tone was just like not setting the right you know emotion off, which I thought was pretty cool. I found that very humorous. I figured the way that they were communicating, the communication between Henry and Sam with the sign language, with the ASL, I thought was an interesting way to go. And the fact that Joel and Ellie couldn't understand them, and Ellie was making a genuine effort to try to learn, and to watch Ellie get along with another child, to actually show her, uh, to show the fact that she's a child, and she was acting like an older sister to Sam, and I thought that was terrific. I mean, that's just letting people understand that this is still a child. Ellie is still a child with a tremendous amount of weight on her shoulders. And you seem to forget, even though she was raised in this atmosphere, this is still just a child. And all children you know, have a right to enjoy their childhood, play with toys, play with others. And it was good to see that. It was good to see the smiles on their face. And I can see the acting was tremendous. The two actors that portrayed Henry and Sam, wow, they did a terrific job. And the fact that the little boy, little Sam, was actually deaf, and that was his. mean, this was like I think his first job. Oh my god. I hope he gets a lot more work. I really do, and not just because he's deaf or because he's POC, but because he's a very talented young man. And so the talent was equally there for Henry. But moving on, I think that one of the creepiest things about this episode was Kathleen, and the way, I don't know, it creeped me out because the way she talked to the informants that were in the cell, you know, it was like a school teacher, you know, intimidating her students. And when they all jumped, when she clapped her hands, holy, it's just like, that just sent chills down my spine. Because at the end of the last, in the last episode, I didn't find her too convincing. But as the story progressed in this week's episode, yeah, her portrayal, this character, even though it's an original character, I think was done well and very creepy. I found her to be very creepy. Once the group got together, Joel and Ellie, Sam and Henry, once they were out, when they were in the office building, and they started talking about how they can get out of Kansas. I like the way that Henry came out with the map and drawing the map and how he's going to get through, go through the tunnels. But slight little problem. There might be a little problem of infected in the tunnels, because that's where Fedra was putting the infected. They was shoving them in the tunnels, and I thought that the look on Joel's face, like, oh man, no. But and the fact that Henry got information 2 or 3 years ago from a Fedra agent that they cleared the tunnels out. Yeah, Joel wasn't feeling it, but I appreciated the communication between them. And then they finally went down there, and Joe was still skeptical, but they got through, and it worked out okay. It really did, and I thought that was great. And when they found that area where another group of people were staying for a while, and you had the castle drawn, and it looked like another place like children would draw. To see the look on Ellie's face and to see the look on Sam's face, two children enjoying themselves, seeing toys, playing with each other, reading comic books, laughing, playing soccer. That's what kids do. And when you watch a show like that, you have a tendency to forget that. And that snaps us back to reality as to what kind of pressure is on these kids, and on Ellie especially. Bella Ramsey, I mean, with each show, she has been progressively getting better and better and better. I mean, she's knocking it out of the park. And then the stories with, Ish and stuff like that, I thought that was cool. Now, mind you, I haven't played the game, but I have seen a lot of game footage, because when you're on the internet, there's a lot of Last of Us game footage, and I find that footage interesting. I know the game just from watching footage. I know all the cutscenes just from watching the footage on YouTube. So I knew about this, and the only reason I didn't get the game yet is because I play other games, which you can see on my playlist. I play GTA and World of Warcraft, and I got enough on my plate. But the game did look fun, so kudos to them as far as staying as close to the story as they did, and adding in a little extra or adding in new characters as well as they did, without without ruining the gist of what the message of the game was, the cutscenes of the game was. It's amazing how well this show is doing, in my opinion. I think they're doing an awesome job. When they finally go to get to the other end of the tunnels, and they come out, and they're in a quiet suburb part of Kansas, and and Henry's walking around all confident. Yeah, I told you it was going to work, so on and so forth. See, just tell me I was right. I was right. It was good. And pew pew. Joel's trying to keep them fucking quiet, and Henry's just yapping off at the mouth. You knew it was coming. You knew it was coming, and I knew about this sniper scene, and I thought it was well played the way they did it. The fact that the sniper shot as well as a stormtrooper couldn't hit the side of a barn if his life depended on it, and it did. I thought that they played it well. They had an old man. I like the way that Joel didn't want to kill him and pleaded with him not to put him in a position to have to hurt him. But of course, when you have someone such as Kathleen pressuring you the way she does, yeah, I can see how he felt that he was going to go death by cop, or in this case, death by Joel, and there was no other way that was going to go down. But the only issue I have with that scene is Joe's unlimited ammo. I don't know. Maybe I got to look at it a couple more times. I didn't see if they showed how much ammo was there, but it looked like Joel had infinite ammo. Y'all gotta check stuff like that, cause and that on top of that, how inaccurate he was shooting at the truck. He couldn't hit the driver in the truck. It took him 3 or 4 tries to hit the driver. But then after that, he was able to hit all the infected without a problem. And I thought that was kind of funny the way they handled that. Now, let me tell you something. That little girl clicker, that crap freaked me out. I hate when they do stuff like that, where they get these little people, these young kids that do all the contortion and walk around like the Exorcist, and one of the things that terrified me the most when I was young. I was 57, and I saw the Exorcist when I was like 11 years old, and then the recuts and stuff like that with the Exorcist going down with the child going down the stairs all upside down and backwards. That kind of crap freaks me out. And the way they do it, the way they got these kids doing that these days, it gives me the heebie-jeebies, man. I'm just saying, Anyway, that little girl tripped me out when Ellie went into the truck, and then the little kid clicker came in. Yeah, I thought that was definitely freaky. But I'm gonna say this: that bloater, holy crap, that looked just about spot on to what the bloater looked like on the game footage that I've seen. Granted, he didn't throw no bombs at anyone, no acid bombs or spore bombs at anyone like that. But that plating, the armor plating, and the way he killed Silver Fox, dude. Yo, yeah, R.I.P., brother. Yeah. I understand trying to slow that mofo down for your number one or for your boss to get out, but dude, you didn't have to stay there and take one for the team like that. Seriously. I mean, they did that. They did their head rip in half, kill, and man, it was brutal. Do you understand me? It was brutal. If this show doesn't get nominated for a number of Emmys, I will be very surprised. honestly. I am going to be very surprised and very disappointed because this show has kicked ass so far. But moving on, um, the fact I love the fact that let me backtrack a little. And let me just say the fact that Henry and Joel spoke, and Henry told Joe that he was a collaborator, and then Joe was very standoffish about it, but explained his side, and Joel was understanding about it. I thought that was very heartfelt. I felt that needed to be said because I want to get into this. This is something I want to get into because I told you I was going to tell you why this episode meant a lot to me. Henry was willing to sacrifice anything for his kid brother. He was willing. I mean, he turned in a good man, the leader of the resistance, and he turned him in, even though he knew he's a good man. He turned him in for his brother. I can't fault him for that. Don't get me wrong. I understand Kathleen's point of view. Kathleen, that was her brother, and she loved him very much. And he sounded like an excellent guy. But like her number one said, he couldn't get anything accomplished. When she took over is when they got shit done. They needed a change of leadership. Unfortunately, it cost the leadership his life, and that was her brother. But if he didn't turn in the brother, they would probably still be under the thumb of Fedra. So I look at it like that. So I don't blame Henry for what he did, for looking out for his little brother, because I did the same thing for my little brother. Once upon a time, somebody was picking, a grown man was picking on my little brother. I didn't know about it. My brother come to me running scared. He was white as a ghost, and he hid in the car that I was working at. I never seen my little brother scared like that. And then, some guy was walking toward, and he was looking at the guy and shivering. And I looked at him and I looked at the guy, and yeah, we'll just say my brother stopped being scared after his big brother took care of it. But I get it. I understand that being protective of your little brother. I was protective of my little brother, and I don't blame him for the decision he made. Yeah, there are consequences. And at the end of this episode was heartbreaking because honestly, if I was in that situation with my little brother and I did what he did, I think it would have been the exact same outcome. Honestly, I truly believe it would have been the exact same outcome if it was me. But let's continue on. I didn't mean to go out of order. The fact that they got through and all of a sudden they're in this hotel or this motel and everything is calm after they get out of that mess. The questions that Sam was asking Ellie, I knew what was coming. Because, like I said, I've seen videos. The fact that Sam was asking Ellie these questions, and I felt it coming. And when he asked her about what are you scared of, and she says about being alone, I get it, because Ellie has lost everybody. No one's left. Marlene pushed her off. onto Joel and Tess. Tess dies. Bill and Frank die. Granted, it was before they got there, but she was there. She read the note. She saw. She knew what was going on. And now this kid shows her that he got bit, and it kind of, she had that kid's mentality that I can help you. My blood is medicine. Kind of, my blood is medicine, and she cut herself and she put it on his cut. That's the innocence of a child. That's the innocence of a child. You have to love that. When Sam asked her to wait up with him, and she said yes. Could you imagine? I can't. Man, if that was my little brother, I mean, just the weight of it. He got bit, and he knows the consequences of getting bit. And here Ellie is trying to save his life. God bless her, Bella Ramsey did such a good job. But with the innocence between those two, and her genuinely caring about him, and acting like an older sister to him, cutting herself, putting her bloody hand on his wound, hoping that takes care of it. We all know it's not. But here's what bothers me, is that up until the last, this is the character that Sam was. Sam turned around and had his back to Ellie. He made sure that he turned around and had his back to Ellie. So as to, I'm assuming, so as to not attack her if she fell asleep. And she did fall asleep. And I'm thinking that he did that because she fell asleep on him. So he turned around and he died basically alone. He was by himself. That is gut-wrenching. He asked Ellie to stay up with him. She couldn't do it. Understandably, they were both tired, but he had the wherewithal to stay up and turn around and not face her. And because he's deaf, he wouldn't hear her. I'm feeling this is the character he was. Whew. That gets you in the fucking feels. I don't care what anyone says. That gets you in the fucking feels. Then when she gets up and goes to him and touches him, and he turns around and goes at her, and then Joel and Henry come forth, and Henry doesn't know what to do at first. He's telling Joel, stay back. He shoots at the floor as to so don't attack my brother. But he sees that his brother is attacking Ellie, and he didn't give it a second thought. He knew what had to be done, and he did it. He did it. Man. That's a rough one. This is why this episode got to me. Because me and my little brother we were that close. And I feel if the roles would have been reversed, and that was my little brother and that was me, this would have been it would have been the same outcome. Because when he shot his brother, he he just all of a sudden realized what he just did. All the sacrifice that he made, the fact that the leader of the resistance had to die for his brother for medication, and it was all for nothing. And he had to take out his brother. Not knowing really who Ellie and Joel are, he had to take out his brother. That gets you. That got me right here. That got me right here. Maybe I'm a softie, but that and the look on Ellie's face after Henry took himself out. There's two more. There's two more gone. So I can understand her attitude after they finish burying these two. I can understand her attitude. She's done. She is so jaded now. She's, it's one of those things that it seems impossible to come back from. And Bella Ramsey knocked it out the park. She just knocked it out the park. I'm going to tell you right now, this episode, for me, best episode so far. I don't know how they can do much better than this. I don't know if they can top this. But I'm going to tell you right now, for me, this is the best episode. And I hope you didn't mind my long-winded review of this, The Last of Us, episode 5. Peace out, everybody.